Good afternoon. Oh, actually it's still morning. We got a couple minutes because we came at you a little early today. But yes, we're back. Ask an Agent. And I got Alex Kemp with us today, who is one of our commercial agents. And he and I have been cracking up and laughing about how to figure out to work Facebook Lives. But it's fun and not at all intimidating, right? So what we wanted to talk to you about today was really just kind of going back to basics. We come at you and we talk about all these topics that I think are relevant to so many people, but we throw a lot of vernacular out there and use verbiage that is like second nature to us to talk about all the time, but maybe we just need to like go back to basics and explain things a little bit further to you. Because at the end of the day, insurance is a necessity for everybody. Whether you're a business owner who has employees and you have to provide them health insurance, or you're just a person with a car, insurance is inevitable. So we want to try and make that as simplified and clarified for you as possible, because that's our job, is to hold your hand and help you figure out what insurance is, how it's obtainable, how it's applicable, and how it can help you in those situations where disaster strikes. So going back to basics, one of the things I was thinking that I would mention is the fact that if you look at our agency, it's essentially broken into 3 divisions or 3 departments: personal, commercial, and benefits. So those are our 3 pillars. But what does that mean? Personal is your homes, your autos, your renter's insurance policies, anything like that. Your benefits is life, health. When an employer is providing health insurance to their entire staff, that's benefits. But commercial, it's a doozy. That's a big encompassed section of our agency, and that's why we have so many agents that can speak so much about commercial. But to kind of drill it back down into what really is commercial and what's it covering, I'm going to Alex today. He's going to help me figure that out and lay it out for you all. So when I say commercial, essentially I'm saying property and casualty. It's just a fancy way to say that. So what is the explanation for property and casualty?
The explanation for that is the difference. So property is going to cover your physical assets as far as your building, your garage, anything like that, as far as what you're working
like where we're
out
sitting.
Of. Correct. Exactly right now, like where we're at. The liability side is going to cover any of your financial assets, as far as if someone's going to come at you with a lawsuit, that's going to come in and protect you there.
So your property coverage is going to, if there's a fire, it's making you whole again. But with liability coverage, if somebody's going to litigate against you, that's where you need to have the casualty protection, right?
Right. So basically what the liability is going to cover, to break it down, is your bodily injuries, your personal injuries, and as far as those. So if someone is to come into your store and they slip on loose flooring or anything like that, and they try to sue you, that's where your liability is going to come in. Also, say you have an employee who goes to someone's home to do some work and they leave their water running. They don't shut the water off and they cause some type of damage, some type of substantial damage to their home. They're going to come to you and say, hey, you ruined this. We need you to pay for this. And if you don't have general liability insurance, then you're going to be paying a lot of money out of pocket. Yeah,
it's a negligence on anybody that's representing your company. That can fall under that casualty and that liability. So that's why you need that section of it. So another phrase that you hear a lot in commercial insurance is BOP. And unless you are spending a lot of time in insurance agencies in your free time, you don't understand exactly what a BOP is. So that's a place where we can kind of package everything together. But essentially, what are the sections of a BOP?
BOP is your general liability and your property. Majority is basically everything inside of there. It's all packaged together. Most of the time, it's a lot cheaper than just getting liability insurance and then going after a property coverage, because it's all together at once. So with that, anyone that pretty much needs it is someone who has a physical location, anyone who has an opportunity to be sued. And if you have your BPP, which is your business personal property, inside of there, if it's a possibility it could be stolen, you want to make sure you're covered in that spot.
So that's kind of, it's just putting it all together in a nice little package, and it's called BOP. business owner's policy. I didn't say that before, but now you know what a BOP is. But one of the other aspects to a BOP, or something that needs to be considered, is business interruption coverage.
Yes.
And I feel like that's one of those things that people have been asking about a lot lately, when they've been in situations where their everyday business was interrupted. So what kind of coverage does that, and a baseline, provide?
That provides, it's pretty much loss of income insurance. So basically what that does is it allows for a business to keep going in the sense of if nothing ever happened. You know, if your cash flow, it provides coverage basically to your profits and your cash flow to basically allow your business to keep going.
Right. It's going to help keep you whole in the case that something happens. And then what's another one? Oh, workers' comp.
Yes.
That is another phrase that we hear all the time. And that, I believe, is a mandatory coverage. Is that right?
Yes. If you have more than one employee in the state of Delaware, it is mandatory for your employer to provide workers' compensation to his or her employees. If not, if, I don't know, Jim is to go and lift something and it's not covered under workers' comp, again, you could be held responsible and be sued for that. And, you know, you're going to be paying a lot of money out of pocket to provide for the damages that are done to Jim.
And essentially, Jim being the employee. So you're when you take on workers' comp coverage, you're protecting yourself against any damage or any, what's the word I'm looking for? Not damage, like any health concerns that or injuries that your employees would have.
Yes.
So it's definitely a vital coverage when you have people, again, out representing your agency or your company or your business.
And there's a lot of things that also go into it, as far as if you need like rehabilitation and you know, there's just a lot of different things that come into workers' compensation. If you get if you get injured or sick on the job, we have to make that clear, because a lot of people think workers' comp, you know, say I'm at home and I fall at home, I come in, no, you have to be injured, like hurt on the job or sick on the job in order to get it.
And that makes sense. And then that's why it's such a good protection. So all of these little nuances that go along with these policies, because there are different guidelines and restrictions that go into your policies, but there's also a lot of different coverages and endorsements that make up these policies. So one of the things that I always ask, and I think is important, is the concept to be able to review and look at your policies and how crucial that is.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I think that you've probably found that a lot when Alex has done underwriting for us and as an agent, so he's seen it on both sides. And I think it's important to make sure you're reviewing your policies with people who can help you understand what all of those words and all of those coverages mean.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that we see, a lot of business owners don't necessarily know what exactly they have in their policies. So one of the biggest things that we try to do is we try to educate them. You know, this is what you have, this is why you need it. You know, we sit down with a lot of business owners sometimes and we ask, you know, well, why do you have this coverage?
Right.
And for instance, as we had spoke about before, I had a guy who was doing garage keepers things and he had spoilage coverage on there. And I'm, well, why do you have spoilage on here? And he had no idea. Well, he really didn't need spoilage coverage and he didn't know that. So there's just a lot of things, you know, you want to make sure you know what you're paying for, why you're paying for it. And one of the things as an agent, our job is to educate you and let you know exactly what you're purchasing. Yeah,
and we're here to be your support when you have the questions. Even after you've purchased with us or that we've been able to help you get to that point, we stay open for you to ask all of these questions as you're looking through. But to Alex's point, it's about us educating you and then also helping to simplify, clarify, and hold your hand when things go awry. So thank you, Alex, for helping us get back to basics today. We hope you have a good day. And remember, you can always send in your questions to us, and we're happy to talk about anything. Have a good rest of the day.
See ya.
Bye.